Nithyananda.
Hello everyone, I'm Shri Nithya Srinivasananda Maharaj.
And I am Shri Nithya Shuddhashiva Ananda Maharaj.
We are here to share the traumatic series of events we endured in Bolivia, which stripped us of our dignity, violated our fundamental human rights. What happened to us wasn't just an arrest, it was a public spectacle, a humiliation, and a violation of every basic human right.
On March 20th, we planned to travel from Cayubaba, an indigenous community that we were serving in, to Santa Ana, a neighboring town with intentions of receiving supplies for our humanitarian efforts. Due to unforeseen delays, our departure was postponed from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. And as we prepared to leave, municipality members arrived. They were aggressively cornering us, and the crowd grew to over 50 people, who were yelling, screaming, and recording the entire time.
We urged the captain of the boat to depart urgently, but the mayor intervened, decommissioning the boat and leaving us stranded. The mob surrounded us before we got on the boat. They demanded a meeting, which we were not authorized to speak at, and we told them this multiple times. They continued to shout and scream at us, even after telling many of them that we don't speak Spanish. Such a difficult situation, but they continued. Tensions escalated rapidly.
One of the enraged members of the mob even violently grabbing me, nearly pulling me off the boat. I leaned back to break the grip and fell and punctured my foot on a nail. When I got up, I noticed my mala holding my Atmalingo was broken. I felt an overwhelming sense of fear and helplessness as the mob got louder and rushed towards us. People began to board the boat. One individual wielding a rifle was imposing his will onto us, pointing in our faces. Both Srinivasa and myself did not understand what he was saying. And once he realized this, he started shaking and pointing his fist in Samuel's face, the new volunteer who was with us. He was so overwhelmed from so many people yelling at him. The fear of losing his life overtook him. His body was shaking and he didn't even know how to respond. He lost the ability to communicate.
They then offloaded our luggage with the help of the second boatman, who we considered a friend till then. We were completely shocked and extremely worried at this point. Now they got all our bags, and I'm thinking, how are we going to get out of here? They have all our belongings, including our passports.
When I noticed they were taking our luggage off the boat, it did solidify one thing, and that's they're forcing us to stay. We had absolutely no choice to leave. We're being held against our will, and now they're stealing our luggage just to prevent us from going anywhere. It was a nightmare we couldn't wake up from.
Then I left to go grab my backpack, which had all the passports in. They started shouting at me as I got off the boat, and once I got my bag, everyone started pushing me around, grabbing on me and pulling on my bag. I peacefully and slowly made my way back to the boat, not trying to have any violence.
The moment I seen Srinivasa being pushed around, I couldn't believe how violent this mob was getting. They were telling us that there won't be any violence, yet they're pushing him around and trying to pull me off the boat.
Yeah, and then the police arrived. We hoped for protection. Instead, they lied, got us off the boat. We collected our heavy luggage. Then, after 50 meters away from the boat, the mob surrounded the police, started speaking to the crowd, and started the investigation, which left us in a vulnerable and open position, unable to go anywhere, with the mob shouting at the police and us. We felt so trapped, we couldn't believe the police had put us in this position. After a grueling 30 minutes, the truck arrived to take us to the flight, but instead, they escorted us back to the town square plaza, where over 100 people awaited, and the 50 plus people from the harbour followed and joined. Our belongings were unlawfully searched, private documents photographed, and we were denied basic necessities like food, water, restroom access. Samuel was shaking, passed out from the exhaustion, lying on the floor. The atmosphere was surreal. People treated our suffering as entertainment, selling drinks, snacks, and even lighting fireworks.
The indigenous community members that we built a good connection with, they started to arrive with confusion. They weren't sure why we were there and what was happening. Especially the kids, they couldn't process what was happening to us.
We waited so long to leave, it just seemed like it would never end. After being made a public display, a public spectacle, and going through our bags, the truck came back to take us to the airport. We then went to the airfield where there was no plane. We were promised a flight out, but it was all a deception. We were held in an open-door hotel with minimal protection and security. The following day, we were flown to Santa Ana and then immediately to Trinidad, where immigration officials photographed us upon arrival. Images that soon appeared in the media. Despite being told we were not detained, we were forced into a police vehicle against our will. They took us to Trinidad immigration, where our visas were unlawfully revoked, and we were subjected to a grueling 10-hour armed convoy through the night to Santa Cruz. When we arrived, we did not expect to see our fellow female monks there. We were shocked again and wondering, what is all of this? We just went through an extremely intense experience to get here, and it's still ongoing, and they're still treating us like criminals. We witnessed our fellow female monks, including a pregnant woman and a young girl, being manhandled, hearing screams asking for their lawyer. Immigration put us in a separate room, so we could not speak to them. It was so surreal. We were literally being treated as prisoners and being detained. After many times we asked if we were allowed to go, and they said no. So many times we asked to go, they refused.
We weren't just detained, we were hunted. This was not justice, but a blatant display of cruelty under the guise of procedure. Our basic human rights were stripped away, and our dignity was trampled upon.
Exactly. And then we finally were let go. We all went back to the house. For a few hours, we were digesting the whole experience. Having not slept all night, the female monks, traumatized, exhausted, coming back to the house that was messed up from when the police had raided it, We couldn't believe it.
It was so shocking to just find out that the day before, while we were dealing with the mob, the police raided the female's house with over 20 armed men. They forced all of the female monks and devotees to leave, kidnapping them, holding them hostage until we arrived.
It was disgraceful.
Not even 12 hours later, we were at the house with the police. Immigration came. Somehow they managed to get in through the front gate and they caused an entire commotion. So many people were emotionally stressed with the idea of being kidnapped again.
Yeah, the female monks were pleading with them, saying they mean no harm and they don't want no trouble. I just didn't understand. Why were they even there? They issued a 3-day notice of immigration, but then armed police turned up the same day without any reason and stated no cause. They remained silent. We asked them, they still said nothing. Eventually they left as they had no probable cause to arrest us.
About an hour later, the owner of the house came and started causing issues and started threatening us. We had no choice, so we rushed and packed our bags to leave to the airport. At first I thought we were safe at the airport, but it turns out the media was stalking us and we were still being harassed, even just before we boarded our plane to leave the country.
We share our story to shed light on these atrocities and to appeal to international human rights organizations and compassionate individuals. No one should endure such violations. We hope our testimony serves as a catalyst for change, ensuring that such injustices are brought to light and addressed.
Thank you for listening. We urge you to stand with us against such violations and to advocate for justice and human dignity worldwide.
Nithyananda.
Nithyananda.